Hello, this is Peter Poppleton from the internet. I would just like to congratulate you really on reaching the 400th episode of the podcast. What the fucking hell is a podcast? If anybody tries to cast my pods like in plaster of Paris or something like that, I will smack them right in the tit. It's what? It's like a radio. Right, I get it now. I see. It's like a radio show. 400 episodes on chuffing gaming. Chuffing hell. Look, I don't know how you've got there. Quite what you can say about chuffing Space Invaders, Pac-Man and Horace Goes Skiing, I will never know. But either way, it sounds like quite an achievement. So well done. And here's to the next 4. Let's not get, ahead of ourselves. I'm not going to say the next 400 because let's face it, gaming is, well, I don't know what I'm talking about, do I? I'm very old. Happy 400th episode.
Hi, David here, One Up Gaming, episode 402 of the One Up Gaming podcast. So, this week we have a guest on, Mike, who has released a book on Amazon. So, I think it was 8-bit stories, and I think we went into it and he's going to do the 16-bit stories and 32-bit stories. It's a book about how just like him going through the old 8-bit sort of retro games and tech and stuff. I'm going to actually buy a copy, I think. It sounded quite interesting to me because I'm an idiot, I'm a nerd. I love the details of things. So as always, we're sponsored by Games Inspired Music. It's an album, it's available now. You can buy it, stream it, and 20% of each sale will go to the Child's Play charity. We also have our first 100 podcasts where they sound completely different. We have a team of 3 or 4 people each week, so it's a lot more long form sort of discussion. Whereas now I do a quick sort of podcast. I sometimes have a guest on, but the vast majority of the time it's just me talking about what games I played on this week's YouTube channel. 10 minutes of nothing, like a news item, some things, and then just the thank yous for watching. So, but yeah, the original podcasts, we had loads of people on, it was quite cool. So you can go to audiobooksontape.com, search One Up Gaming, find us on there, and then you can buy it. And £1 of each sale will go to the Diabetes UK charity. So that's pretty cool of that. And I think that's it for the first bitty bits. So we'll have a quick break and we'll be back with the games played this week. So back in a couple of seconds.
Hi, I'm Keith Allen and I play Murphy on Z Nation, and I listen to One Up Gaming Podcast.
Hello Andy, this is Colin. I won't be able to get in tonight. I'm sweating like a pig.
And we're back, still me, still David, still One Up Gaming, and episode 402 of the One Up Gaming podcast. Don't know why I've got my headphones. I'm not even listening. I guess I was listening to a Formula 1. Anyway, this is episode 402 of the One Up Gaming podcast, and these are the games we played this week. So, I can tell you what, I've played the games, but do you know when you play something and then you come back to talk about it and you've completely blanked on what the game was? Right, let's have a look. So it was called Paper IO2. Paper IO2, let's click on it, let's have a look. I think it was just the... Yeah, I know which one it was. Yeah, I do apologise. Yeah. Oh, did I save it? I didn't mean to save it. No, it's fine. So, Paper IO2. Now, this game... Some of these games I played this week, we were given codes from Cubic Games for their 20th anniversary, so a lot of these games, they're fun distractions, not full complex sort of games, if that makes sense. I think a lot of these were their mobile games ported over to Steam. So Paper.io 2 is, imagine a sheet of paper, and if you use your controller to move your little character over the paper, once you complete a section, your colour fills in that section. And if you're halfway through, you're sort of rotating around the level without hitting your own side or the wall to complete that section. If someone hits your colour as you're going round, it kills you. So you have to try and eke little bits out of the coloured world just to fill out your sort of side. And it's very relaxing, it's very nicely done, and I quite enjoyed it. It's quite therapeutic to try and colour in the world. So yeah, I'd recommend Paper.io 2. I think that, I'm not sure if there's still a 40% sale on these games, but just go to Steam, have a look, see how much some of these are. Next up, we have Golf Guys, and this one is it's like a online multiplayer sort of like golf game, very fast, very fluid, like a very exaggerated levels, courses, all full sort of Crazy Golf. There we go. Why was it so hard to think of Crazy Golf? It's like a vast Crazy Golf style levels. You basically shoot, then shoot. Once you stop, then shoot. As there's like another 20 people, 30 people, I can't remember how many there was now, doing the exact same. And it's chaos, but again, it's built well, it plays well, it looks nice. So I would recommend, that's a nice game to get. So that one was Golf Guys. Next up, the Nom, N-O-M, the Nom. So I like nom nom, food. And you are an alien, a black spaghetti spider looking thing that is going through a 3D environment that is very simple, and it's like you can see like the walls when there's no ceilings. It's like a top-downish sort of view, and you have to kill and eat all the enemies in the level. You can go over walls, through doors, through windows, and again, very simple concept, but it is executed well. It's a fun little game. You just climb around and eat things. It is fun. Fun little game. So the Nom, great little game there. Next up, now this one I've played many times on my phone, but this one is called Helix Jump, and you are like a ball that bounces, and there is like the level that you can rotate around, and there is certain colours that you can go through, but the red ones, if you hit that, it kills you. So as the ball drops, you have to rotate the level round, and you go through like the coloured sections right the way through to the end, and the quicker you do it, the more points you get. So again, it is a very, very, I think this is one of the most simple sort of ones that I played, and it's still a fun little game, but it's a game that I think that you don't want to be paying a couple of quid for. It's one of the ones where it's a fun game, but download it for free on your phone. That's what I would say, unfortunately. So we do have a video put up of the unofficial Nintendo 64 collection first look of the book. So I managed to get a copy myself in, so I could have a look through it, and without sounding too weird, I think that the writing, the text, and the size of the book is the best it's been in this sort of series. Don't get me wrong, I love the Sega Saturn one because that's my console of choice. That's why that one was created and written first. But the N64 one, I think it's got the concept down to a T, and we are looking at doing like more like the Game Boy collection. I mean, it could be anything. It could be anything. It could be the Commodore 64 collectors. I don't know. It could be anything. But yeah, we've got that book out now. So again, all the books are available on Amazon. So just search Amazon for unofficial Sega Saturn collection, unofficial PlayStation collection, and the unofficial Nintendo 64 collection. They're all available there. If you want to buy a copy but don't want to pay the £35 that they are, email us and we'll be able to give you we'll be able to send out a review copy that we can buy in for £25. So we'll give you a £10 discount on that. I'll just let you have that for the trade price of that, so you can get a copy cheaper. So we move on to the next game, and that is EA Sports F1 24. Now, I think that the EA Sports, that the F1 games by Codemasters, for the last couple of years they've looked and played really well. The handling mechanic is really good. It really feels snappy and twitchy and all the good stuff that you like. And the graphics have caught up. It looks really nice, really smooth, fluid, all that good stuff. But if you played last year's version, this is just like a slight cleany version of that. They've lost the story mode, all that sort of stuff. But it's a really good game. I really enjoyed it. So F1 24, really good game, probably game of the week. Next up, more games from Cubic Games, Sausage Wars. And this one, imagine a really low budget like Power Stone 2 4-player co-op game where you just run around and hit things, but there's obstacles in the level that slice you in half, fall off ledges. It's a little bit gory, it's a little bit stupid. It's just like big sort of, you're a big sausage that you run around and chopping people up. So again, it's a very simple, uncomplex sort of game. Only a couple of buttons, I think it was. I think you even attack by hitting the up button. So it's not much to get into, but as a party game, it could be quite fun. And Sausage Wars I love the stupidity. Next up, we have Infantry Attack. Is it Infinity? I think it's... No, it's not Infinity, it's Infantry. God, Infantry Attack. And this one is a third-person, like a light gun game without the light gun, but third-person. So you see your character, but you see your crosshair on the screen as you're shooting the enemies. And then once you clear a wave of the enemies, your character jumps up and runs to the next cover point, gets down, then the enemies come and respawn. You shoot them. Lob grenades. Again, this one is much more of a fleshed out sort of game, but it's still very basic and simple. It plays well. Graphically, it's not the best. I like some of these other games where they know that they're not going for full-on graphics, so they go like the 2D stick figure style, and it works as a game concept. But yeah, Infantry Attack. It's a good little game. I enjoyed it. And the last game we played this week is a game called Amaze. And Amaze it's like a 3D game, top-down view, and it looks like a marble with like a maze grid, and you have to try and move your marble. If you press up, it moves up as far as it goes. Then it hits a block, and then you can move left or right. But you have to hit something to stop at a certain distance to drop again. I'm not explaining it very well, but you just have to colour in all the blank spaces with your ball colour. I'm sure the trailer's doing a much better job at explaining this than I am. But again, it's a fun little game. I enjoyed this one. I'm not good at puzzle games, so I got lost quite early into it. That's why it's only like a 6-minute video. But I enjoyed the game. The game plays really well, and it's just the fact that I'm an idiot. So I would say the game of the week is probably EA Sports F1 24. Good little game. And that, my friends, is the games played this week on episode 42 of the One Up Game podcast. We'll have a quick break and we'll be back and we'll be talking to Mike about his new book. So please check us out after this few seconds.
Hi, my name's John here. I'm the designer of games like Sensible Soccer, Cannon Fodder, Whizball, Parallax and Sociable Soccer. And I listen to the One Up Gaming podcast.
Up next on the One Up Gaming podcast is 10 minutes of nothing. Will it be the team talking about nothing or a guest interview? Stick around and find out now. It's 10 minutes of nothing. Yeah, 10 minutes of nothing.
Now we're back. It's still David, still One Up Gaming, episode 402 of the One Up Game podcast. I'm going to go through this week's 10 minutes of nothing, where we just ramble on about nothing. And we've got a great guest for this time, this show. So please introduce yourself and what do you do, please?
Hello there. My name is Michael John Nerney. I'm an author of 8-bit stories. I make computer cases and I work too hard in a 9-to-5 job. But apart from that, I thoroughly enjoy retro stuff.
So I'm a massive retro sort of gamer. I have my Sega Saturn in the spare bedroom fitted with, is it a Terra Onion? Terra, something like that?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
It's like you rip out the optical drive and put in a hard drive. So I've got all the games built in there. I've got a Nintendo 64 with the EverDrive. I've got the original PlayStation. I had about 18 different consoles at one time or another.
Yeah.
And in the main room, it is just the Xbox Series X now. But I love that because it can play 360, the original Xbox. It can play all those sort of old stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you say you're like a retro gamer. What is your sort of retro fix?
Well, I mean, I'm a computer geek rather than a console geek, if I'm honest. My roots go back to the very early 1980s and the Texas Instruments TI-99, the Commodore 64, the Spectrum, before moving on to Amigas. And then really, I suppose, my first serious console after a brief flirtation with an Atari 2600, which I didn't like very much, was Sony's PlayStation. Really, it's the first one I bought. Although my brother's kids had the red Sega thing, the whatever it was called, Master System. They had that, and we used to play games on that, which were quite good. I did like the fast loading.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the fact you had no buttons to press. I do like buttons. Although as I get older, I don't like quite so many buttons now as I get confused.
So when you were younger, did you like the Atari Jaguar?
I've never ever used an Atari Jaguar. I've never known anyone who's had one, especially not back in the day. I mean, I've seen them at shows and I know people who have them now. But back in the day, I never even saw an Atari Jaguar.
Yeah.
Did you have one?
Yeah, I had one.
Yeah. What did you think?
I think if you look at it from, because I think people forget from the year 1990, well, say 89 when the Mega Drive originally came out, to like 94 when the PlayStation came out in Japan. So there's like a 5-year span where it completely changed how games looked and felt. So if you came out in the middle of that, and I think the Jaguar was like 93, 94.
Something like that. Yeah, 94.
So I think, in a sense, it was amazing, but it was just like 2 months before it was completely dominated by something else.
Yeah.
So I think the 3DO was also just after the Jaguar, and that was almost PlayStation's sort of standards.
Yeah.
So I think in that 3-4 year gap, yes, something came out that was amazing, but because of the advancement in technology, it looked rubbish in And it's like, especially like the brand new consoles, because they weren't Sega, they weren't Nintendo, they couldn't release the consoles for £200 and make money up on the games. They had to sell the console for like £350, £400.
That's right. The profit had to come from the console, didn't it?
Yeah,
And
so
that's where the problem started. Like the
it was
3DO,
just.
I mean, the 3DO was prohibitively expensive.
But the 3DO, in a way, the concept was amazing.
Yes,
Because the
absolutely.
3DO company didn't make the 3DO. They made the
Mhm.
technology that they
That's
licensed
right.
to other people. But
Absolutely.
because those other people never made money on the games, they had to sell it for $700
Exactly. Yeah,
just to make the money back on the console.
definitely. I mean, you've got to say, look at which is the best business model. Well, that's obviously the one that worked, which
Yeah.
would be Nintendo and Sony. They nailed it, and I mean Sega did as well for quite a long time. But
Yeah.
they worked out how to make a certain amount of profit per game, and that's what kept the company afloat. And that's why they're still around today, with the exception of Sega, although they sort of are about today, kind of.
Yeah, they still do Football Manager every year. I mean, what more do you need? You know,
Well, if you like Football Manager, you're on a winner.
I loved Football Manager, but I think I've not played it for about 10, 15 years. But when I was at 15, 16, I was on it every hour of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Football Manager was great.
Yeah.
Great game. Yeah.
So we've had a nice little chat there. So I think we will start the 10-minute timer because I think you've got some nice things you've just released recently that we'd like to talk about.
Okay.
So I will start a 10-minute timer now. So you say you're an author.
Uh-huh.
What is your
kind of?
latest sort of project?
Well, a passion of mine has been I wanted to talk about the early computer era and what happened, especially in the UK. I'm from Great Britain. I don't really know what went on in the States because I don't live there. But looking at the UK, it always fascinated me how the UK in particular ended up with such a vast array of computers all about the same time, all based on similar but different chipsets, all promising the earth and most failing to deliver. What drove these machines? What were the companies behind them? Why did they come to be? And that sort of interest led me to where I am today, which was where I ended up writing a book. Now, the book itself it's changed its format many times. Initially, it was going to be quite an in-depth technical, sort of quite dry read, really, of all tech specs and information, who said what, who did what. And it stayed in that format for about 2 years until I stopped and read it back, and it was quite boring. To me, it was quite fascinating, but whether it would be interesting to anybody else is a different matter. So I had to put in things that sort of deviated a little bit from the norm, what else was happening at the time, the circumstances around certain things. And that led to the book coming out in the form it is now, which is a more rounded story of 1980 to 1988, the computers that appeared, why they appeared, how much they sold for, which were successful and which weren't. But a primary driving factor through all this was I was fascinated by the battle between Commodore and Texas Instruments and how that came to be. And the fallout from that was, of course, Texas Instruments withdrawing in 1984 and losing $380 million or whatever it was.
But yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated, absolutely fascinated by the fact of if you're American, which, let's be honest, 90% of all retro coverage is basically like Americanization now.
Mm-hmm.
And you basically lived with the Atari 2600 until that died in 83, 84. And then you had nothing until the NES sort of came out.
Yeah, until
That was
Nintendo came.
that was your gaming history.
Yeah.
Whereas in the UK, it's like you say, you had the Commodore 64, you had the Spectrum, you had like 15 different makes every year coming through trying to get something.
Yeah.
And it was just like the micro PC market, whatever it was called. it
Yeah.
was just so varied and so amazing as a child to be able to
Absolutely.
go to a shop and buy a cassette tape for like £3-4.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas,
You think of your pocket money as a child, as a teenager even, delivering pen newspapers or milk or just washing your dad's car or whatever it was and getting a couple of pounds. What are you going to get with that couple of pounds? You either go to the sweet shop or you go to your local petrol station or Boots the Chemist or Double Eight Smiths, buy a Mastertronic game off the spinny rack or whatever it is, or go to the game shop or something. It was fantastic. You couldn't do that now. You couldn't say to a teenager now, go wash my car and I'll give you £45 to buy Call of Duty. I mean, it don't quite work, does it?
well, and the fact that Call of Duty is probably about £90 now,
That's ridiculous. That's 2 cars.
But it's like, well, like I said, last year we got sent the Call of Duty game to review, and they just send you a code now. They don't send you like the games. They just, and I just sort of like went onto the Microsoft Game Store to see how much that game was, and it was £100.
Outrageous.
I was like, Jesus Christ. When did these games get so expensive?
Well, they're films now, aren't they? Practically, you're playing in a film. The technology, the development, the resources that go into these things are a long way away from the spotty teenager in his bedroom writing Manic Miner in 3 weeks or whatever it was. I mean, those days are long, long gone.
Yeah.
You have a team of hundreds, if not thousands, creating a game now, and these people have to be paid. Some games take 5-10 years to create. It's staggering, really.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I remember, like you say, like my favorite developers as a kid was Sensible Software. And the 3 main games I remember was Sensible Soccer, Cannon Fodder, and Megalomania. All 3 completely different sort of gameplay styles, but they all had the same graphic sort of style.
Yeah.
But there were just, I think there was 3 of them at the start, and then by the end of it, there was like 6 of them.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So it wasn't a big, massive team.
Yeah.
But like you say, these new games now, I mean, I think there's Spider-Man 2 for PlayStation 5. I think they said it was like $250 million budget.
Yeah. I don't
And
know.
it's like, blimmin', how are you getting a profit from that?
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. But the thing is, I mean, the scope of sales now is astronomical. You think of the global sales of Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty or whatever it is, it's many millions. If you look at the sales of Cannon Fodder, it's many thousands or maybe 100,000 or whatever. It's all relative, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's why all the big developers now, they're all looking for that always online game that you buy once, you play for 3 years, and you just buy in content every week just to. Subscription
is the way everything will go eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, you think of a motor car, you buy a car now, a brand new car, that's the only money that manufacturer may see from that vehicle. So how do they get more money from you through the servicing contracts? How else can they get it? Subscription. Let's put a subscription on the car. And it will come a point when we don't own cars anymore and we have to pay a subscription to use them. It's exactly the same way that software is going now. I mean, Microsoft Windows will probably go that way. Office already goes that way. It will come.
So from our 10 minutes of nothing, we've got 3 minutes left. Do you want to show your book and tell people where they can get it?
Okay, I'll do the spiel. So this is 8-Bit Stories. And this is my take on 1980s shenanigans that went on in the UK market. It's currently just shy of 400 pages. The colour edition is something like £14.80 or something on Amazon. It is available globally, more or less. There are a few countries that, for some reason, Amazon doesn't deal with for some reason. Don't ask me why. So it's about £14.80 for the colour version. There is a black and white version for £9.99. I would recommend the colour version, as you are missing quite a lot if you get black and white. Content is the same. And it's my take of 1980 to around 1988, when the demise of the 8-bits really came to the fore when no further development was done, and the software sort of reached its peak probably by 1988, 89, and then things tapered off quite rapidly as the Amiga and the ST, and of course the consoles started to take over. So there we are, 8-bit stories.
Amazing. So, like me, I went through the Amazon Kindle program or whatever it was. I can't remember how it was called now. Yeah. And I managed to get my book done, my Sega Saturn one, which it is just like a lot of, you might not be able to see, but it's just like a lot of screenshots and written text about each sort of game and stuff. And
expensive color pictures.
Very expensive. I was shocked.
Tell me about it.
And
I understand why people write and just use black and white. I understand now.
Yes. And I sort of like wanted to release it for like £15, £20, that sort of price. But Amazon said it could only be as little as $32.99. So, and then with other regions, you make nothing. I had to basically put it for £35.
Yeah.
And so I'm basically getting like £2 per book sold.
Yeah.
Which isn't great, but
no, just the same. I mean, I wanted to include. I mean, my original first draft of this thing was getting on for 1,000 pages, and it was full of images, schematics, diagrams, motherboard pictures, CPUs, everything, all kinds of high quality, high color images. But the cost of releasing that is just completely impractical. It's not. I understand why people do books, color books, and they're sort of a couple of 100 pages or less. I understand why now, because the cost is ridiculous. You can't expect people to pay £45, £50 for a book. It's just not going to happen. Not really.
Yeah, it's so. Like I said, it was a project I was doing in the background for many months, and I was going to go down the self-publishing sort of route. But I think with that, you had to buy like 10 or 50 samples yourself. So you had to spend like £1,000 just to, and I was like, I'm a poor English guy. I don't have no.
I hear you, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, working full time, doing all the stuff, doing all this is a passion project.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's all fun. I love the retro scene. I do love collectibles, but they're all so bloody expensive.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
I mean, I had a lot of my stuff originally back in the day, and it was sold to buy the next thing, which was sold to buy the next thing, so on and so forth. But I started sort of tentatively getting back into collecting in the late 90s, and things were dirt cheap. Some of the stuff you couldn't give away. That stuff now is worth thousands.
Yeah.
Which takes some of the fun out of it, if I'm honest.
I mean, like, I always remember my mum telling me she bought me a original, I guess it was like that sort of size car, the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
Made from the Tonka company.
Yeah.
And I was literally about 2-year-old. I didn't have any teeth or nothing. And she said within half an hour, I managed to get the wheels off the car.
Excellent. And so he should.
So, so anyway, Mike, it's been an absolute pleasure talking.
And you?
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for giving us like half hour of your time. And I wish the book does amazing well. Keep plugging away, keep promoting it. Because I know for a fact, if you don't tweet out every day, you don't get no sales.
Well, the thing is, if you don't advertise it, people don't know, do they?
Yeah.
So eventually people will get fed up with listening to me, but hey ho, that's life.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I will buy a copy, I promise. Once I get
send
paid.
you a copy, don't worry.
But yeah, it was an adventure I wanted to do, so hopefully you've done your adventure. So will you be looking to do other books in the future?
Yes, I'm going to do a series of at least 3, probably 5, probably a 5-part trilogy, as Douglas Adams once said. So there'll be 16-bit stories and 32-bit stories where I go into the PC DOS era and go up to perhaps the early 2000s or something. And then I'm going to look at specifically some of the video games that we used to play back in the day and what was so special or so interesting about them, whether that be real or perceived due to nostalgia. We shall see.
That sounds interesting. It's like, I tell you what, while this is all recorded and everything, I want to run by an idea that I started writing 15 years ago. I think I got to chapter 13 of the story. The whole premise of the book was there is the first book and then the sequel, but the sequel is part 5. And the first book, there is 4 different versions of that book. And each version is all 4 main characters from their origins of how it starts and how they all meet up at the start of the second book.
It sounds like a Star Wars saga.
I don't like Star Wars. I've never read it. But yeah, so it was like you could read any of the first 4 books and still understand what was going on. Or you could read all
But
4
these are all
of the
different
books.
characters, yeah?
Yeah, it all focuses on, like the first one was called The Memoirs of Michael Zane, The Last Human. So it's like the story of him, how he gets from Earth over to wherever it was in the
That sounds
galactic
interesting. Why
battle.
don't you do it? Come on, get on with it.
I suffer from attention sort of problems, and I got so far into it and then I got bored. And then by the time I went back to start it again, I'd forgotten all the characters and all the places and all. And then I tried reading through it and I got into chapter 4 and I thought, I can't be bothered to read it.
Oh, what a shame. You should do it. Revisit it. Revisit it, definitely.
Yeah,
That sounds
also
interesting.
I mean, I was looking at these like AI help tools,
Yeah.
but then
I've
it's
not
like
tried them.
you have to pay like £20-30 a month just to, and you don't know how good it's going to be.
No, that's the trouble. And you don't know how helpful it's going to be either.
Yeah.
Once they've got your money, they don't care.
But there is some things out there which helped, and it was like a digital planner. You could name all the characters, all the planets, and then you could like link people together and say what relationships they had and stuff. And that for me would be helpful. It'd be like a visual aid straight away to sort of see what's going on.
Well, I haven't and probably won't, but I might written a book with not real characters, but imaginary characters where you have to think about relationships and where they meet and all this sort of stuff. And I can imagine that's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
Because halfway through the book, you'll forget what you said on page 1.
Yes.
So, I mean, hats off to people who write these massive. Stephen King, when he writes these novels, my goodness, how the hell can you remember what you were talking about by the time you get to the end of the book?
I mean, like someone like that, it'd have been so difficult back in the 70s and 80s when he first sort of started.
Yeah.
But I guess sort of now he will write an outline of a story and he'll have a team of like 20 people just to finish it all off.
Yeah.
Which
Have
I
you
don't
read his
blame
book,
him.
by the way? His book about writing.
I don't read.
Oh, you don't? Oh, brilliant.
I just sit and watch videos on TV.
That's excellent. Okay, fair enough.
That's why I do all the video editing and the music and stuff. I've got an album out. I've got all sorts out. I get bored, do a project, and then I think of what can I do next and do another. I've got my own clothes label, my own. I've got like hats and stuff with my logos and stuff on that I sell online. You know, so I just sort of like I do something for 6 months a year, get bored. I mean, I wrote a cartoon series, and it got picked up, and the guy who was going to be the main voice was Dustin Diamond, who used to play Screech in Saved by the Bell.
Okay, I know of it. I don't remember it, but
yeah. And unfortunately, things happened. He stabbed someone. Couldn't. Then he was like under house arrest, so he couldn't go on the national TV to promote the Kickstarter at the time. And then a few years later, he unfortunately died of cancer.
Oh dear.
So yeah, that whole project went.
Well, that would put a stop on it. You know.
But yeah, I love all. I just get like an urge to do something. I dive into it for 6 months, and I think I go that deep into it, I get sick of it.
Yeah.
So, but that's just me.
Don't delve so deeply. Enjoy yourself.
Oh, thank you so much for being on this week's show.
It's an absolute pleasure. Anytime.
All right, thank you so much. I'll speak to you again.
Mate. Cheerio.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Lucy James and I listen to the One Up Gaming podcast.
Hi guys, this is Dean Swain from the Retro Asylum podcast. Congratulations to the One Up Gaming gang. 400 episodes, great number to reach. It's a lot of editing, trust me, I know. I've been podcasting for years, so well done, great number to reach. And here's to the next 400 episodes. Well done, guys.
So there we go. It's One Up Gaming, episode 402 of the One Up Gaming podcast. Been me, David, One Up Gaming. Yeah, still David. I've got my Sega Saturn jumper on. Got my Sega Saturn tattoo still. It won't come off. I've washed it. It won't come off. But yeah, so thank you so much for Mike for coming on. Please go to Amazon, buy his book, 8-Bit Stories. It looks amazing. I'm going to buy a full colour version of it. It's £15. I wish my books were as cheap as that. I might be able to sell more copies. But go to our website, oneupgaming.co.uk. Got reviews on there. Got some news items, some previews. Etsy store still not up and running yet. Of encountering like problems. I have to adjust prices and things because, not gonna lie, although I've sold over £250-300 worth of stuff, I was making a loss of between £2 and £5 per thing. So over the 6-month period, I've had to spend and pay Etsy about £500 just to sell my things. So as you can see, that's not a great business model. So I will have to go on and sort of edit some stuff and prices. As always, subscribe to us, like us, share us, bell the icon. We will do this every week, or try to do it every week. If you listen to us on the podcast, then just subscribe to us, give 5 stars, positive feedback, all that good stuff. Really helps when people are searching for podcasts, and it helps us when we can market the show to people and try and get some money, which we need money. So thank you all so much for watching. It's been me, David, One Up Gaming, and we'll be back next week, so thank you. Goodbye.
Go baby, go baby, go baby, go baby. I love you, said I love you. Never put nothing above you. Won't let go once I can hug you on the floor. They hate because you let them know that you the ish. Now they hating not because you at the club and proving it. And so they choosing it too late cause now they using it. Can't wait from how you doing it. I know that they pursuing it. You will kindly tell them now my baby's here to watch me go. And for him I put on a show. You just blessed to be here. So my baby goes on, her body rolls on. I tell her hold on, we making love with clothes on. Been on it so long, I think we gotta go. Get my grown man on. You know that I love you so. Go baby go now, go now, baby go now, go now, baby go now, baby go now, just go baby go now. For me, I love when you go for me. I love when you go for me. Say I love when you go for me. 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 Say I love when you go for me.
I tell my baby go, but she's not even going though. It's the trust I have in her. Careless what do say to her. Yeah, I'm feeling kinda slick. I'm loving how I swim in it. No, I'm not taming her. The only one's engraving it. Sign it, still right from her lips. She need to know that she's my miss. Treat her like a treasure though. I never wanna let her go. I keep her right in front of me. My heart she will forever be. I do this so she'll never see. Life with me, no misery. You deserve the world, my queen. Yeah, I'm back down on one knee. A boy to a man that you have seen. No matter who's wrong, it's you and me. I'm coming for you, baby, so we can stay happy. I'm trying to work so hard for you and me. Go, baby, go now. Go, baby, go.
Go baby, go baby, go baby, go. Ha! Go baby, go. Just go, baby, go now. I love when you go for me. Go for me. You go for me. I love when you go for me. Say I love when you go for me. You go for me. Girl, you go for me. You go for me. Say I love when you go for me. Say my baby's so bad, she can get it so glad that she loves me. Know that I'm a hubby so sad. Say you looking so mad. Oh, you didn't know that. Next time you should check the ring. I know that one's a throwback. I know you see her flashing it, especially when she gets it low. I'm rubbing on and grabbing it. I tell my girl, go ahead and go. Baby, go now. Baby, go now. Go now. Baby, go now. Baby, go now. Baby, go now. Baby, go now. I love when you go for me. I love when you go for me. I love when you go for me. Say I love when you go for me. You go for me. I love when you go for me. You go for me. Say I love when you go for me. Yo, go baby, go. Just go, baby, go now. Yeah, LGE. Sign in contact. Get it.
We got it.
Go, baby, go.
We got it.
Go, baby, go
We
now.
got it.